Hello, YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in to the live stream today. I'm really excited to be live as I record another episode of the Are You Green podcast. Today, I'm going to dive into a really big issue, which is that our market is up and the jobs are disappearing like hotcakes. So why is it that, the job report came out this morning? Jobs are down, obviously. I mean, maybe not as low as they expected, but why is it that we get this negative news and yet the stock market is still going up? How is it possible that we don't have any stimulus relief and yet the market is at all-time highs? So that's what we're going to talk about today in the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and click record and we'll get started. Please subscribe and like if you want to continue to see more content. Hello, traders and friends. Welcome to the Are You Green podcast. Today is Friday, December 4th, and I'm very excited to be streaming this episode live on YouTube. I record live on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So if you can't wait to listen to the episode until the afternoon, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link will be in this description. Today, I have a really important topic to discuss, which is the jobs report. Why is the market so great and so high, and yet our jobs are disappearing like crazy? So I really want to dive into explaining that, especially to people who are new to investing and might not understand what's happening with the market. The SPY today opened at 367.30. Previous close was 366, and now it's around 368. Is the SPY green? Yes, it's very green today. The XLK technology indicator, I love to keep an eye on that since I do a lot of trades with the tech stocks. Open today at 124.97. Previous close was around the same 124.79. But right now it's sitting around 185.80. So it is green. The question that everybody wants to know, are you green on my personal accounts? No, I am not. I am slightly in the red today. That's okay because I have bought so much today. It was like I had a shopping spree with the market. So we'll go into all the new swings that I'm in, what my trading plan is, and more towards the end of the episode. When we come back from the break, though, I really want to dive into that jobs report and answer the question of why is the market high and yet no one has a job and people are literally suffering. So stay tuned. We'll dive into that news and then go over all of the fun personal swing trades I'm in with Peloton, Big Lots, and more. Like to segment out the podcast for sponsorship opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. For those of you who are watching this after the live recording, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to look up the Are You Green podcast in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. I push it out everywhere. And I do record the podcast every single day. I love trading with this community that we're building. Today, the morning started off on a low note with the November jobs report coming in. Although, it was pretty terrible, a lot of people speculated that it wasn't as bad as what they thought. And in turn, when I believed that after seeing this terrible news, I would see an effect on the market, nothing. The market was pretty flat. I mean, if not high, it went up to all-time highs today. Even in the morning when I wasn't sure, it was apparent that, it was going to be a green day very early on. So why is this happening? Why is it that people are out of jobs, unemployment is still crazy high, and yet the market is doing so well? So just to dive into this a little bit, I first want to express that there is a big gap between what's happening in the stock market and what's happening on the street. In the financial world, they call it Wall Street versus Main Street. So, everybody knows that there's always been that gap, unfortunately. And this is something that I feel really passionate about, is that it feels like that the rich only have opportunities to get richer and the poor only have opportunities to get poorer. And that just really has bothered me forever, really. And that's why I love the stock market. Nowadays, with zero commission, zero minimums, anyone can open up a Robinhood account, TD Ameritrade, anyone can open up a trading account and start trading with like $50, $100. So I feel like, there's more opportunity than ever before for people who may not have invested in the past to invest now and grow their savings and make money from the market. That being said, just to kind of dive into the report, they did feel like, the report reflected a lot of things that we've already known. It reflected the retail sector has been hit extremely hard. There was a little bit of a bump up in employment due to the seasonality of the holidays, but we always see that. And it wasn't at the same type of growth for seasonal employment that we normally see. But that was, reflected as the number one sector that was down. There's also a prediction that 13 million people will be evicted from their homes in January. It pisses me off that the news reports on that. And then a second later, they say, oh, it's not so horrible. Well, tell that to the 13 million people who are homeless. So, that just really irked me. And I had to share it, this news with you guys to explain why the market is still so high and yet Main Street is suffering. So first of all, what goes into this is also affected by how much money is in the market overall. With the pandemic, the market saw an unprecedented amount of new accounts opening up. It obviously has to do with some of these easy to use brokers like Robinhood and Webull, but it also has to do with the fact that the interest rates are very low. So it's not worthwhile for people to just hold their money in the accounts. So they're pushing their money into equities, into the stock market. So overall, both from people who have been long-term investors and new investors, just more money in the market has attributed to this. The market also is very optimistic. Those people that are holding, millions of dollars in the market makers, the banks, etc., they feel very optimistic about a stimulus package coming soon. They feel optimistic about the vaccine news. And so, all of this being said, that's why we haven't seen any sell-offs. We haven't seen a drop in the market, and we've only seen growth, growth, growth. One other last thing to note about the retail sector, I saw a interview with the CEO of Ulta, and she basically reflected what all companies have been saying, which is that their e-commerce customers spend much more than the in-store customers. And it's a lot cheaper to not only get these customers, but to make them happy. So these results, it's going to be a long-term effect on the retail market. And, it's just kind of reflecting the long-term effect that is going to be existing in the market, because of this pandemic. So that being said, even though everything is very optimistic for 2021, I would, just say for those of us, or for those of you guys that are out of work, just try to look towards like what the future is trending to. I work for a software company myself because of this trend. So that's all of the sad news I can stand for the moment. I want to, jump right into my personal trades since I just bought like crazy today, and it was really, really fun. So first off, I did go ahead and sell a little bit of a swing trade that I have on the Energizer battery. It's ENR. My average is 40.93. I sold at 43.60, and that's a gain of 2.67 points. So really happy with that gain. And, with that being said, I did leave a small piece on for a higher sell at 46.65. Not concerned with this trade at all. I'm going to continue to hold it till it gets to my target. Then I went ahead and entered into 3 big swing trades. So the first one is BIG, B-I-G. This is big lots. They have really great movements and spread. And so when I saw this huge drop off the open, it caught my attention. So my average for for big right now is 48.09. I'll buy. The problem is that there's no good buy level where it's right now. I think it's sitting around 47, but there's no strong resistance there. So my next buy is at 46.54. So I still have room to add on this trade. And I'll continue to add down to 45.79. So that's my plan with big. My target is to sell a small piece at 50, but to hold for a big profit at 52. So I'm really excited for this swing trade. As you guys know, most of the time I do follow a time stop loss. So, some of these could take up to 90 days, especially during the holidays when the market is low volume, low action. But that's why I was excited to just buy these tickers at good prices and enter into the swings. Having to, have the opportunity to just kind of put some of these away in my mind over the holidays is very nice. I don't, want to be stressed about my trades. I want to have a good plan. And I'm planning from the start that these are long-term swings. So if you're not looking for something long-term, then maybe don't look here for now for these trades. Anyways, the next one was Peloton, P-T-O-N. I was so excited to enter into this swing. I've been watching Peloton for a long time, and it has shown so much consistency. And that when you see a big drop down to a pivot point, you see it bounce right back up. So I felt like, 113 was a really great price to start this trade. I ended up averaging down. I'm now holding at 112.90. I feel like I could have sold this, for 114.20 or something like that, and definitely made a good profit. So, this is a little bit of a riskier trade because my strategy shows that I, probably should have sold around that point, taken my profit. But I do see this pattern over, a long course. So, over 90 days, I do see this pattern with Peloton. And I, feel like it can get at least to the 115.65 level. I had a sell in at that level. If it got there today, I would have been out. But because it didn't get there, I'm going to hold it. I do just want to let you guys know that I'm not going to be surprised if this ticker drops again next week. I have another buy level at 110.87. And I also just wanted to say this one's a little bit more of a riskier trade as opposed to what I'm doing with big. The last swing I entered into is DADA, D-A-D-A. I am still pretty early on this trade. I have major target levels and I am expecting it to drop, but I got in right now and my average is 45.16. And the next buy level isn't until 41.28. So it's a bigger spread than I normally, like to do with swing trades, but I'm really going to give this one time more than the others. So hopefully I will at some point get that fill down at 41.28. That will really change my average. And my target on this is 47.15. So those are the three big swings I entered into. I'm so excited to continue to track those with you guys and, update on anything else that comes up. I did have a really small day trade today, and I want to share it because there is no shame in trying something out and then, selling and leaving that trade. So the ticker is MRVL. I felt pretty confident about the drop that we saw there. And so my average is 43.27. I was expecting to see movement there and nothing happened. It's been totally flat all day. I wanted at least like a 70-cent gain. I did think that this was going to be a day trade and not a swing trade. So I wanted that quick bounce up, fill my sell, and then I could get out and walk away. That didn't happen. So, this afternoon I took a look at it. I'm still like, the ticker was around the same level I bought at. Nothing is happening. So I did go ahead and put a sell in for 43.37. I'm sure that will get filled soon. So it's like going to be like a 10-cent profit, which is not what I normally want. But again, that is so much better to exit out of a trade even or with a little bit of a profit than to hold on to something that could prove really detrimental to your account. So if you make a trading plan and the stock is not doing what you plan, there's no shame in getting out even taking just a tiny bit of a profit. A lot of people will refuse to kind of give up because they feel like, oh, it's giving up, it's quitting. But no, it's not like that at all. There's so much opportunity. So please, feel free to make your own plans when you do day trades. And if it's not working out according to plan, then get out. Nowadays, as I mentioned, we don't have commission fees. So there is no harm in trying something out and then getting out even. So yeah. And the last thing I want to mention is just IPOs next week. That's going to be very exciting. And, do keep in mind that if you feel like the market's a little slow, volume is impacted by the holidays. And what I have in mind is mid-January. So earnings season is coming mid-January to early February. Earnings season is so fantastic for the market because it is volatile. There's a lot of emotional buying and selling that's happening, and smart traders like you and me are reading the charts and looking at the data and making smart decisions and profiting off of people's emotional buys or sells. So I'm really pumped for earnings season. And that's, something that we have to look forward to. But of course, I'll still be recording the podcast every day. I hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. I'll see you on Monday for the podcast, and I'll be live streaming again next week on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please comment on the YouTube, and also feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram, Are You Green Podcast. It is so awesome to hear from you guys with all of your own investments and what you're doing long-term and what you're doing short-term. And I've been truly enjoying those conversations. So thank you all for listening. And I look forward to talking with everybody next week. Take care. Awesome. Well, thank you guys on YouTube for watching. This podcast episode will be up, in the next 40 minutes to an hour. Sometimes it takes a while to push out to all of the podcast listening apps. So that's why you guys get the first look here on YouTube. Please make sure to check into this channel on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays when I go live, and feel free to comment with any questions. And I can't wait to continue trading with this community. Take care. Bye.